Day 73 of the Biden administration, nearly 3 months to the day after the deadly insurrection at the U.S. Capitol, a new attack taking the life of a Capitol police officer and injuring another. It happened just after 1 o'clock this afternoon near the Senate side of the building. The attacker struck the officers with his car, then rammed into a security barrier.
The suspect exited the vehicle with a knife in hand. He did not respond to verbal commands. The suspect did start lunging toward U.S. Capitol police officers, at which time U.S. Capitol police officers fired upon the suspect. The suspect has been pronounced deceased.
The response from law enforcement agencies and the National Guard was immediate, and the Capitol was locked down. The two officers rushed to the hospital. William Evans, an 18-year veteran of the Capitol Police Force and a member of the First Responders Unit, died of his injuries. The department, of course, has been reeling since the January 6th riot and the death of Officer Brian Sicknick. The acting chief noted the stress that her officers have been under.
Please keep the United States Capitol Police family in your thoughts and prayers at this time. It has been an extremely difficult and challenging year for us, but we will get through this, and we do appreciate the community's support.
Late today, a Capitol Police motorcade escorted Evans' body. President Biden ordered flags to be flown at half-staff on all federal buildings until April 6th in honor of Evans and the other injured officer who is in stable condition and his injuries said to be not life-threatening. Authorities say the attack appears to have no link to terrorism, identifying the suspect as 25-year-old Noah Green. His social media posts reference the Nation of Islam and its leader, Louis Farrakhan. He posted the quote, "end times," about how the last few years have been tough and the past few months tougher. The House and Senate are in recess, so the complex was far less busy than usual. But today's attack comes amid a debate among members over the heightened security measures put in place just after the insurrection. Lieutenant General Russell Honore, who reviewed Capitol security after the January 6th siege, says Congress needs to make changes quickly to prevent future attacks.
The transition we have to make in our minds that the Capitol is a target. Many members challenged the recommendations, some of the recommendations we made in terms of barriers that need and hardening of the Capitol while keeping the Capitol open to the public. And the challenge was they would tell me, hey, we've gone to the SCIF, General. We're not seeing any threats to the Capitol. We need to adjust to that. We need to take those recommendations we made and get them funded up to about $2 billion and get it done because our Capitol must be protected.
Also today, there's new travel guidance from the Centers for Disease Control for people who have been fully vaccinated.
For domestic travel, fully vaccinated people do not need to get a COVID-19 test before or after travel and do not need to self-quarantine after travel. For example, fully vaccinated grandparents can fly to visit their healthy grandkids without getting a COVID-19 test or self-quarantining. Fully vaccinated people do not need to get a COVID-19 test before they leave the United States. Fully vaccinated people should get tested and have a negative test result before they board an international flight back into the United States. But they do not need to quarantine when they arrive here.
Couple of things to note here, though. The CDC advises travelers they have to continue to wear masks while traveling, even if you're fully vaccinated. The agency also is not recommending travel at this time due to the rising number of COVID cases. Still, with vaccinations picking up, there are now signs the economy might be starting to recover from the pandemic. Hiring picked up last month as employers added more than expected, 916,000 jobs. President Biden welcoming the news while also making a pitch for his new $2.2 trillion infrastructure and jobs plan.
The fight's far from over. That's why I proposed the American Jobs Plan. I'm going to begin meeting with Democrats, Republicans about this plan. I've spoken to Republicans on the phone. I'm going to be looking forward to meeting with them. They all have their ideas about what it will take, what they like and what they don't like. Inaction is not an option. there are still 8.4 million fewer jobs today than there were last March.
Amid all of this, there are mounting questions about the future of Matt Gaetz, the Republican congressman who's now the subject of a federal investigation into whether he was involved in sex trafficking. His office says he has never paid for sex, and he denies any relationship with a 17-year-old, calling the allegations against him totally false. Today, he told the Hill newspaper he has no plans to resign. Earlier, the White House was also asked to weigh in on Gaetz.
Is the president aware of the reporting and the investigation into Congressman Matt Gaetz, and does he believe that the congressman should resign?
I don't think we have any further comment. I'd refer you to the legal authorities. Those are decisions that we'll let leaders in Congress make.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.